laws of the Nazerite, an individual who takes upon himself to be a secluded kind of individual, if you will, from society. His hair has to grow, can't cut his hair. He can't drink any wine or anything a derivative of a grape. And he can't impurify himself, meaning come in contact with a corpse, right? Can't cut his hair. So those are the three things: hair, wine, and contact impurity. Now, what happens if he's a Nazarite and he did one of these things happen? He drank, right? Inadvertently, whatever the case may be, right? Or he did come in contact with a corpse, right? It can happen, right? Even, someone just passed away in the home you were in, or his hair got cut, whether he did it again, whatever, for whatever reason. It's just a question: what does that do? Because remember, the minimum stay, if you will, or the minimum duration to be a Nazarite is 30 days. So what happens after 10 days? You did it. What if it was you're going to do it for 100 days and you did it after 50 days, and so on and so forth. So that's the context over here that we're going. Okay, chapter 6. When a Nazarite drinks wine or eats grape product, even if he does so for many days, he does not invalidate even one of the days of his Nazarite vow. Similar principle, if he shaved a minority of his head, whether intentionally or unintentionally. So it doesn't nullify the days. Thus, if he drank wine for 10 days in the 30-day Nazarite period, he need not observe more than the 30 days. You're not allowed to do it, but if you did it, it doesn't nullify you being a Nazarite, or meaning that you would have to do it again, right? Because you're not acting like a Nazarite. It doesn't nullify it. If, however, drinking, that was about drinking. Now we said, but the minority of his head was shaved. If, however, the majority of his head was shaved, whether with a razor or through another means, which is as effective as a razor, and even though the hairs and enough hairs to fold over their head to their base were removed, whether intentionally or unintentionally, meaning, you have your hair, and if you can fold it, right, that's what it means. If you can fold it and it touches the base, so that means it's long, right? That means you didn't shave. If you can do that. If you can't do that, that means it is shaved. Like what is called shaved? What's the definition? So if you can fold back the hair, that means you still have enough hair and it's not called shaved, right? But if you can't fold it back, that means it is shaved, right? So here we're talking about the majority of your head. You did that. Again, with a razor, or you had some other means, or, scissors or whatever, and you were able to get so close to the scalp. So again, whether intentionally or not, even if thieves shaved his head against his will, the 30 days are invalidated. He must wait until he has uncut mane of hair. Afterwards, he counts the remaining days. So even if it was done against his will, right? But majority of your hair was shaved, then you have to wait 30 days. Well, let's go first. Let's see. What is implied? I'm going to give the example. A person took a Nazarite vow for 100 days. And after 20 days, the majority of hair was shaved. Again, intentionally, that's not the point over here, right? It's about a fact. He must wait 30 days as his hair on his head grows. So he shaved it. He's got to wait 30 days. Why? because it's got to be now in a state of what's called hair grown, right? Because he has to start from that position. And let him in. Go. Okay. So you have to start from that position, right? So you have to wait 30 days. And then after 30 days, he counts 80 days to complete his Nazarite vow. He already did 20 out of 100, so it doesn't invalidate the 20, but you've got to wait another 30 to let it grow back, and then you can continue your count of 80. Throughout these 30 days, he must observe all particular Nazarite law, but the days are not counted as part of the Nazarite vow. So in those 30 days, you still have to be like a Nazarite, but they're not part of the count. Okay? I hope you got that. When a Nazarite contract now, so that was with wine. Wine was the most lenient. It didn't take away anything. Shaving did, if you did the majority, right?
Grapes, so it doesn't take away.
Huh?
15 grapes.
Yeah. Well, same idea. Yeah, same idea. Which is interesting. It just came to me, and I don't know, because that didn't change anything in you. You ate it. It's gone. Shaving changed something, a reality, right? It changed. Your hair is out, shaved head. So you need to come back to not being the shaved head. So you got to wait the 30 days, right? Now, what's with impurity? That's the next one. So here it's actually more stringent. When a Nazarite contracted ritual impurity stemming from a corpse, whether intentionally or unintentionally, even if non-Jews cause him to incur impurity against his will. Again, it's like, if you chose to eat poison or someone stuffed it down your throat, the consequence is the same, right? It's about a reality. It's not about, but I didn't mean to, right? Because we're talking about intentionally, unintentionally in any case, right? It's about a fact. So all the days he observes are invalidated. He must perform the shaving requirement for impurity, bring sacrifice associated with the rising of impurity, and begin to count days in Nazarite anew. So this cancels everything. Cancels everything. And doesn't just cancel, you have to shave your head because of impurity coming with the corpse, right? One of the things you do after that impurity is you've got to shave yourself, right? Got to go to the mikvah, and there's a sprinkling of the red heifer on all that stuff. Remember. So here there's something, because this is another reality, like that's not associated with the Nazarite specifically. Anybody, right? As a 7-day purifications, sprinkling of the red heifer. You got to bring offerings after that. You've got to shave your hair. Everything that's associated with that, and then start the count anew. This is implied by the verse. The first days will fall, even if he becomes impure on the day that he completes his Nazarite vow. At the conclusion of the day, all the days are invalidated. The first days will fall. Ayamim harishonim yiplu. Meanwhile, it says that they will fall, meaning they will fall off the count. Right? Got it? No? What don't you get?
When is it they will fall off the count? Is it that those days are not considered valid?
That's what we said. If you come in contact with impurity,
So the previous days will be null and void.
They're all null and void. You got to start your count again. In other words, you did 20 days. So you're not starting from 20 days. And then you became impure, coming in contact with a corpse. right? Right. You come in contact, um, you have to go through the process of purification from coming in contact with the corpse. That's an impurity. That's the first thing you got to do, as we just said. Then you go and start your count again. Okay. Now, what happens if you contracted impurity, number 4, on the day after he completed the Nazirite vow? You completed the Nazirite vow. You did the 30 days, right? Let's say. The day on which he would have brought the sacrifices associated with completion of the Nazirite vow, if impurity, had he not become impure, he invalidates all 30 days. Right?
Yeah, because you can't come in the temple, you can't give the hair, you can't do anything.
Yeah. Excuse me. So what should he do? So he must bring sacrifice associated with her rising from impurity, and he becomes pure and perform the shaving required for impurity. Same thing, right? He then observes the Nazirite laws for 30 days. He performs the shaving associated with completing the Nazirite vow, because you shave too in that instance, right? Both of them you shave. So second, right? Impurity, and brings the appropriate sacrifices. If he contracts ritual impurity after the blood of the sacrifices was sprinkled upon him. Now, right, we're talking about that he did it on, what are we talking about? We said over here, he contracted impurity, on the day after he completed Nazirite vow. So he did the 30 days on the 31st day. And on that day, you got to bring sacrifices, right? To bring the sacrifice means completion. But you didn't bring the sacrifice. That's why it invalidates all that. But what happens if he brought the sacrifice and you sprinkle the blood? And the sprinkling of the blood is the completion of the sacrifice, right? I mean, it's completion as far as the atonement that that he gets, right? So sprinkle, none of the days are invalidated because the process is complete, right? There's 3 offerings he has to bring. He only brought one and was sprinkled. I don't know if it makes a difference which one. Right. So once it's sprinkled, the sacrifice, and if it was just slaughtered, not. But if it was sprinkled already on the altar, that's considered you finish your vow. Instead, he should bring the remainder of the sacrifices with complete Nazarite vow impurity after he regains spiritual impurity. But he's missing a couple of sacrifices, so that he shouldn't bring then because he just became impure, right? You can't bring in impurity as sacrifice. So you bring that later, but you don't have to now. You didn't disqualify all the days, and you are, finished being a Nazarite. Number 5, what's called completion. You brought one sacrifice on the altar, you sprinkled the blood on the altar. The sprinkling on the altar is considered finishing, bringing the offering, which then finishes your vow. You took a vow to be a Nazarite, right? You became impure, right? That's the question. That's the issue over here. You became impure. But if you only became impure after it was sprinkled, right? Then you finish your vow and you don't have to continue to be a Nazarite.
Nothing is invalidated. The days are invalidated.
Exactly.
You brought the first offer.
Exactly. And it was sprinkled the blood on the altar. That's the key, right? If you just slaughtered it, no. Right? Because that's not called an offering. Blood on the altar, it's like, it's like we just learned in Tanya, right? When we learned about the offering on the altar, it's your flesh and blood. So you put the blood on the altar, so it's like you finished your blood, your replacement of you, the blood of the animal is on the altar, finished.
But there is more to do, but you're still.
But yeah, there's more to do, and you still have to do it after you become pure, because now you can't continue. But that's not the issue. The issue is, does that invalidate, because you didn't put all the blood on the altar, but you put from one, that's sufficient. Right? That's sufficient. You are no longer a Nazarite. That's the key. Right? If he contracted ritual impurity on the following day, which is now the 32nd day, right? The day which is fit for him to begin letting his hair grow, had he has shaven his hair after the completion of his vow, he does not validate anything, even though he did not shave yet. So he brought the offerings on the 31st day, all of them, the three of them, right? But he didn't shave yet, because that's on the 32nd day you shave. He didn't shave yet. Now he became impure, right? Doesn't matter. He does not invalidate anything, even though he did not shave yet. For he has completed the Nazarite vow and everything associated with it. If he becomes impure on the day he took the Nazarite vow, or on the second day, these days are not invalidated. Let's do this. Now we're going back. On the first, he took a vow today. He took a vow yesterday. Today he becomes impure. So is the first day invalidated? So what we learned before, it is all invalidated, right? But now he's going back, Rambam, and saying the first 2 days are not invalidated. Why? Instead, he completes the days of the vow, including them, after he brings his sacrifices. This is derived from the proof text. The days will fall. The use of the plural implies there must be at least 2 full days, right? In other words, it's plural. Plural means 2. 2 means 2 full days. If you have 2 full days, they fall. But if you have less than 2 full days, they don't fall. That's the implication. So if you did 1 day and you became impure, so the 1 day is taken off, and you have to you have to purify yourself and everything, right? And bring the sacrifices and so on, shave and so on. And then you start counting only 29 days. Therefore, he becomes impure on the 3rd day onward, invalidates all the previous days. So counterintuitive. It's so counterintuitive, right? You would think, okay, 2 days to lose. No, okay, big deal. But you're going to lose now 20 days? Yes. Why? Because it's got nothing to do with rationale. It's got to do with the verse. The verse says days will fall, meaning day won't fall. Right? Day doesn't fall. That's the implication. Got it? Okay, verse number 7. Halacha number 7. When a person takes an Nazarite vow, although he is ritually impure due to contact with a corpse, the Nazarite vow takes effect. If he becomes impure again, drinks wine, or shaves his head, he is liable for lashes. If he remains impure for several days, they are not counted for him until he has the red ashes, the red heifer sprinkled upon him on the 37th day after he contracted ritual impurity, and he immersed himself in the mikvah on the 7th day. When a person takes a Nazarite vow while he's ritually impure, the 7th day is counted for him. When by contrast Nazarite was ritually pure, became impure, he should not begin counting till the 8th day. In other words, if you were already impure and now in your process, you're impure yesterday, and today you take a vow to be a Nazarite. So you did it in a state of impurity, right? It's a vow. A vow can be done in a state of impurity. So the 7th day will be included in the count. But if you were pure took a vow, and then you're pure yesterday and took a vow, and today you become impure. So it's not counting. You have to start on the 8th day counting. Halacha number 8. When a person takes a Nazarite vow in a cemetery, Nazarite takes effect. What's he saying? Like think about it for a moment, right? He's saying, I'm taking a Nazarite vow, which means I'm not going to come in contact with a corpse. He's in a cemetery. He's by a corpse. So it sounds like a contradiction. It's not. The vow takes effect.
It's not, if they are buried, then that's not a problem. They're buried, it's not a problem.
No, Kohen can't go into the cemetery, right?
That's the point. I'm talking about
So
Nazarite.
Nazarite can't become impure, like a Kohen can't become impure. Same thing, right?
Nazarite cannot go into a cemetery.
What is he said? You can't become impure by a corpse. Cemetery has corpse. We become impure when we go there. We're impure. It's okay to be impure if you're an Israelite. A Kohen doesn't go into a cemetery. Follow and listen. Put your baggage at the door and just follow. No, listen to what's being said. A Kohen doesn't go into a cemetery because they can't become impure. We can become impure. It's okay to become impure if you're not a Kohen, because you can eat food in a state of impurity. You can't eat your tithes in a state of impurity. When you go to Jerusalem to bring a sacrifice, you can't eat in a state of impurity, right? And a Nazarite can't be impure. That's all. He can't become impure. He's, in that respect, he's like a Kohen, period. That's the law, what we learned.
Not stronger impurity to be actually in a room with a dead person.
It doesn't matter whether you're in a room, whether you touched, whether you, but that's irrelevant to becoming impure. The impure, there might be there's a difference. I don't remember now if there's
states very
there's no.
If you go into a tent where there is,
It also states if you touch. It also states if you touch. So, but it's irrelevant to being impure. Impure is impure, right? You have to still have the red heifer. You still have to be sprinkled on the 3rd day and the 7th day with the red heifer. You still have to go to the mikvah. The Nazarite has to do it. So in a cemetery, you have to do it. No difference, right? Now, there's a way to go into the cemetery that you don't become impure, right? If you're surrounded by something or people, then you don't become impure. But if you're not, right? If you go over if you lean over a plot, you become impure, right? You become impure.
I think it's like in the Ohel, where you have the, it's like.
It's got, I mean, those are the laws we learn. Yeah, it's like, it's because Tuma rises up, right? Even though there isn't the Ohel, right? There's nothing there, but it rises, whatever. It's complicated, which we're going to get to those laws, right? We're going to get to those laws. I think they're next book. Okay. So the point over here, the Nazarite is taking a vow to become a Nazarite, and he's in a cemetery. It's like a contradiction in terms. Doesn't matter. The vow takes effect, right? Even if he remains there for several days, they're not counted for him, obviously. He's liable for lashes for remaining there because he's a Nazarite. You shouldn't do it. If you did it while you're there and you got out, okay. If he was warned not to take a Nazarite vow while he's there, he should not shave his hair when he leaves there. Since he is not required to bring a sacrifice, he is not required to shave. If while in the cemetery he conducted impurity in one of the ways that he would require Nazarite to shave, he should neither shave nor bring a sacrifice associated with the merging from impurity. Since he was not pure at the time he took the Nazarite vow, in other words, I'm not very clear on that. Halacha 9. But Nazarite entered a cemetery in a closed container, chest or closet, made a Nazarite vow there, and then his colleague came and opened the top, causing him to contract ritual impurity. He's not liable for lashes, even though he remains there. He does, however, receive stripes of rebellious conduct if he remains there. Right? Because you're willfully remaining there to be impure. Even though, once you're impure, you're impure. Doesn't matter. Willfully doing it. So therefore, it'd be only rabbinic law anyways. When the Nazarite left the cemetery, he remained several days outside and then returned. The days he remained outside are not counted as part of the Nazarite vow, right? Because he's got to become purified first. If he departed, had red heifer sprinkled upon him, immersed himself in the mikvah, counted several days of his Nazarite vow, and returned to the cemetery, the days of the counts are significant for him. The days are counted before re-entering them. The days spent in the cemetery are not counted, right? As evident from the continuation of the halacha, this applies in an instance when he is not certain that he contracted impurity. So because as I mentioned, when you go into a cemetery, it's not 100% that you became impure, right? So there's a little of a doubt over here. So if he went out, became purified, and then came back, right? Those days are significant, even if he enters cemetery on the 8th day after becoming impure. The 7th day is counted with him. If while he contracted one of the types of impurity for which Nazarite is required to shave, he's required to bring a sacrifice as required to emerging from impurity. The days accounting previously are invalidated. He must shave, requiring the emerging from impurity. Okay, so not all the times, and this is what you said before, Amram, there are differences in levels of becoming impure contact with the corpse. Walking into a cemetery is not an oihel, and it's not touching the corpse. But I think if I recall, it's a rabbinic law, right? Not biblical law, that when you are over the corpse, for example, I think, and I'm not 100% certain on that, but the point is, though, it doesn't require you. In a certain instance, it requires you when you're in the confines or touched. Then it requires you that you have to shave and you have to shave and bring sacrifices, right? For sure, you have to be sprinkled. That's not a question about the sprinkling because that's the impurity you have to be cleansed from, right? Question is if you have to bring the sacrifice and the shaving, right? So in the biblical ones, you do. And this one over here, because being in the cemetery is again, it's not the same power and strength. So in certain instances, you don't have to shave, and therefore the days could be counted. It's only when you have to shave and bring in a sacrifice that the days are invalidated. Okay, I got to stop over here. I'd like to continue.
Thank you.
All right, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good Shabbos.